More than 30 years in the classroom and this veteran is walking away.
So I'm Penny and I'm 55 years old, graduated when I was 22. So I've been in the classroom for 33, 34 years. It was just always what I was going to do. And as a child, like having my toys lined up and playing teacher.
Do you know around about how many kids you've taught?
Oh, a few thousand.
A few thousand. And you've got pictures of all of them.
Oh, yes. The good, the bad, the crazy, starting with that crazy little lady when I was 5.
Tell me about the day you decided to quit teaching.
It was a beautiful day, but it was a horrible day. We'd finished at the end of last year. I was exhausted. I had Christmas, and then we basically had to drive into school to set up the classroom. My partner was driving, and I just sat in the passenger seat with the tears rolling down my eyes, thinking, I don't want to do this anymore.
And how did that feel, leaving a profession that was such a big part of your life for so long?
Failure. I've let people down, especially the children in my class. You know, oh. Failure.
Do you still feel that way?
Oh, yeah. I taught at the most incredible school. Amazing kids, just the best staff, a brilliant principal, but I couldn't do it anymore, just exhausted.
Penny is not alone. In 2022, 5,500 teachers decided not to renew their practising certificates. Ministry figures suggest the total number of teachers isn't the issue, but the sector is saying something else. Principals are struggling to fill teaching positions due to workload and burnout. Newshub Nation spoke to more than a dozen teachers and they all identified these same key themes. Not enough training and support to meet increasingly complex student needs. Our most competent teachers are expected to carry the load, often leading to burnout, and a systemic undervaluing of the profession. For Penny, cracks have been forming for a long time. It started with Tomorrow's Schools, then the Education Review Office, national standards, and finally, COVID. Each chipping away at public trust in teachers, all taking their toll.
I always say to people, the irony of teaching is you go into it because you love kids, but it's always at the detriment of your own kids. And so we really care about kids, and we want the best for kids, but often our kids miss out.
And you've just become a grandma.
And I've just become a grandma 3 weeks ago today. And it's wonderful. And that, for me, was the final point, that was the last straw.
And if there's one thing that you would want the politicians, the parents and the public to know about the realities of the classroom, what would that be?
Teachers work really hard, and we do it for our nation's children. And no, we don't work 9 till 3, 40 weeks a year.
Does the Minister accept that the teacher shortage crisis is directly related to teachers' pay and conditions?
Mr. Speaker, it's a lot more complex than that.
The Education Minister, a former teacher, principal and one of Penny's college classmates, says she values the difference teachers make.
I know the work that our teachers do and absolutely value it highly. But like every other sector, COVID has had an impact on our education sector as well. And that's what we're trying to work through with our teachers at the moment.
In recent weeks, teachers across the country have been screaming out for help. Meanwhile, those with the power to make change are making promises.
There is no subject on which I'm more passionate or that motivates me more than education.
I think our track record speaks for itself there. It tends to be Labor governments that put extra teachers in to reduce class sizes.
But the sector is asking them to put politics aside. 2,000 educators have signed a petition calling for bipartisanship. Will you commit to working with your colleagues in opposition?
Education cannot be a political football. In fact, educationalists, and I was one of them, are absolutely tired of seeing these changes coming in every time that there's a new government. But we have to get agreement around what's important in the education space. It's too critical for us not to get this.
I noticed that Jantonetti has often said, we want cross-party collaboration. But I tell you what, actions speak louder than words. And the reality is that we have not been consulted in any meaningful way to give actual feedback to influence any of the decisions.
How would a national-led government solve these problems?
One of the things that I've been particularly perturbed about in the last 5 years is the amount of backroom spend. Actually, what we're seeing are cuts. Cuts in our teacher aid budgets, cuts in our Oars funding. And if I were the Education Minister, that would be where all of my support would be going.
Meanwhile, Penny's still giving her support to our kids.
I now have 2 part-time jobs working with special needs children and tutoring. And that's part-time, but it's still 40, 45 hours a week. But 40, 45 hours a week is a lot better than 60, 70 hours a week. So I get to have my evenings and my weekends with my family.
Good boy. Put down. Good boy.
I still get up early, just, I've done it for 35 years. But I actually can sit down, have a coffee, drive to work, not feeling frantic. That's lovely. That's just bliss.